In 50 years, I will be a beautiful 102 years old woman. My body and my heart are my biggest teachers. It's time for me to collect the interests and dividends of the investment plan of my entire life. I've planned very carefully my pension scheme. I've chosen to invest on connections, on relationships, on community, on the younger generations. I'm surrounded by caring people. In 30 years, I will be a beautiful 82 years old woman. My body and my heart are my biggest teachers. I live in a community that respects and honors the cycles of life. A community that values the beauty and wisdom of elders, adults, young people, children, and infants in an equal way. A community that celebrates rites of passage. Young girls and young boys are welcome into adulthood to be appreciated for who they are and who they are going to become. In this self-organized ecosystem, people of different ages enjoy spending time together, learning from each other and caring for each other. As a wise elder, I'm heard and respected, and I hear and respect the younger generations. Children are encouraged to spend time with elders and adults in a circle around the fire, to share dreams, visions, and the kind of knowledge that emerges from the quietness of a deeper place, and to connect to the cycles of nature: sunset, sunrise, the waning and waxing of the moon, the flowing of the seasons. Today, in 2019, I'm a 52 years old woman. I'm a woman with a big vision. I dream of a society where women of all ages, especially teenagers, have got access to an education that takes into account the wisdom and the dignity of the body. It's a poetic vision, and I know I'm not the only one to dream it, but actually, my vision is more specific. I'm talking about the wisdom and the dignity of the menstrual cycle. How many of the women present in this room feel uneasy holding a sanitary pad on your way to the bathroom, when you are in your office or in somebody else's house? How many of you think of the period as a nuisance? How many of you have good memories of your first period? Have you ever noticed that most of the material available online on the menstrual cycle addresses it as if it were a problem or an illness? And it's even worse if we talk of the menopause. Have you ever noticed that in some countries, including my own, Italy, in the ads for the sanitary pad, the blood is blue? Isn't it weird? When on the other hand, it's widely acceptable to show blood of wounded children in the evening news. In some English-speaking countries, including the UK, the period is referred to as the curse. Up to a few years ago, I felt really uncomfortable around this subject. I wouldn't even dream of starting a conversation about it. My first period is definitely not the best memory of my childhood. And even if I'm the fourth of four sisters, this topic was not the preferred one in our family conversations. Today, I'm here to invite you to change your glasses and have a look at the menstrual cycle from a different perspective. What if the period was the individual expression of each woman's creativity and not only related to motherhood and sexuality? What if the period was a blessing and not a curse? The entire narrative of each woman's cycle could change. There is something that happened in my life that changed completely my perspective on this subject. There's a book that appeared 8 years ago. And just a few days later, its author, who lives in England, happened to be presenting it in the town where I used to live, Verona. I remember that during the presentation, my whole internal system got rebooted. The knowledge and wisdom that this woman was sharing so passionately was revolutionary in its simplicity. I got the clarity that I needed. I had found my mission. I wanted to be an apprentice to this woman. I could feel that the path that she was pioneering was going to change many women's lives. That day, I learned a new word, menstruality. It conveys a new perspective that restores the dignity and the role of the cycle. Every month, every woman has got access to a rite of passage that gives her guidance for the next steps in life, to unfold her path of power and wisdom. When a woman starts listening to what her body is saying, she gets access to an inner coach that allows her to get in touch with the depth and the knowledge that is inside. The point is that many women are not aware of it. So just the simple act of acknowledging the feeling of the cycle can be empowering for a woman. When a woman stops fighting her own natural rhythm, she can get the guidance that she needs. She can get the embodied knowledge that she needs. So I learned that menstruality and the menstrual cycle, it's a healthy, dynamic system. The menstruality map is very simple. I call it inner permaculture. It's based on the observation of what happens in the body, heart, and mind of a woman every month. Every month, a woman has got access to this knowledge that we can compare to the 4 seasons. So if we think of the 4 seasons as the 4 phases of the cycle, each phase can offer the talents of the wisdom of some specific moment. So we can start with inner spring. Inner spring is just after menstruation, is pre-ovulation time. It's the time when a woman is centered, full of energy. It's a very creative time. This is followed by inner summer. Inner summer is ovulation time. It's the time when a woman is really grounded, centered. It's the time of generosity for a woman. It's the time of networking. It's the time when a woman shines and she can attract, she's magnetic, she can attract what she wants in her life. This phase is followed by inner autumn. And like in the season, inner autumn is the time of letting go. It's the time when the energy retreats like waves in the ocean. It's also the time of the inner critic. It's a very powerful moment, but many women find it difficult to manage. They wrestle with the kind of power that they can find in this moment. And they don't realize how important it can be and how useful it can be. Inner winter is bleeding time. It's menstruation time. It's the time when women need to come home to themselves. It's the time when the body is asking you to rest, to be able to welcome the kind of creativity that happens when you really listen inside. It's a visionary time. It's the time of the dream. In a tribal society, they appreciate it and honor it as a visionary time. And most of the time, women are not honoring this side of the cycle. So once I embarked on this path, I realized there was no way back. I had embarked on a path that was connecting me to the cycle of nature. It was connecting me with a constant dance of life. The regular repetition of breath and the regular repetition of birth, growth, death, and rebirth. Since 2012, I've been promoting an education that is in favor of this knowledge. I've been using the archetype of the red threads and beads and of the weaving, which in many countries represents the connection to the female cycle. And I invite women in my travels, I invite women to bring beads to be left to the next country, to the women of the next countries, as a talking bridge, as a connection between communities and generations. What I realized is that empowering a group of women means empowering a whole community. And I also realized that it's very important to involve men in the conversation. I have some very good success stories to share. In my travel in India, some of the women that participated in the sessions took on this knowledge into their communities. In 2019, I'm a 52-year-old woman. My body and my heart are my biggest teachers. I'm a woman with a big vision. I dream of a society where women of all ages, especially teenagers, have got access to the wisdom and the beauty of the menstrual cycle. Women who reconnect to their inner coach are able to listen deeply to their own needs and to the needs of the people around them. Women are embodied leaders by nature, able to address the complexity of their times, and able to offer alternative and transformative solutions. I imagine a society where women see their diversity, are able to see it and reaffirm it from ordinary to extraordinary, and treat it with reverence. Women who are able to see this diversity and recognize it, acknowledge it, and give value to this diversity can take another step further from independence to interdependence, from disconnection to interconnection. We are the ones we've been waiting for, the ones who can truly look after for what is still unbroken. Having the discipline of nurturing this diversity is a radical act. Not in 50 years, when I will be 102, but today. Thank you.